Does it matter when you eat? Well, the answer is yes and no. Hello fam, and welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Neal, and this channel is all about helping you, if you're a woman over 40 or like me over 50, get in fantastic shape. And you absolutely can, but you do need to get your nutrition on point. And today I'm talking about meal timings. I posted this clip recently about meal timings. The one weight loss hack that will get you exponential results, and it helped me transform from this to this, is eating protein and carbohydrate 30 to 60 minutes before strength training and protein and carbohydrate 30 to 60 minutes after strength training. This clip got a ton of comments from people, and I'm gonna explain why in this video. Eating before and after strength training is absolutely key if you're over 40 and you're also in a calorie deficit. The first thing to say is, I absolutely agree, you do need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. That means burning more energy than you're putting in as fuel, fuel being food. It's really important that you get that right, because no matter what you do, if you're consuming too much energy, that's food, for fat loss, you are not going to lose weight. Now at this point, I think it's really important that I clear a few things up and do some myth busting around timing of meals, because there's a lot of misinformation going on. And I'm first of all going to talk about intermittent fasting, because I get asked all the time about this. I personally don't do intermittent fasting. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I think the reason that people are successful on it, if they are successful, and not everybody is, I did it for 18 months and it really didn't get any results for me, is that it actually puts them into a calorie deficit, and that's why they lose weight, because they're putting their meal times into a smaller window, so they're not consuming as much food. And the jury's out for me in terms of the research, because there's lots of research for it and there's lots of research against it, as to whether it specifically helps women over 40 lose weight, because there actually isn't enough research around to tell us about that. Secondly, I'm gonna talk about fasted workouts or fasted training. Now, there was a school of thought that if you do your cardio fasted, and I used to do this, that you're actually going to get more fat loss. But the research tells us now that that's been blown out of the water. So you absolutely do not need to do cardio fasted. If you want to do cardio fasted, that is absolutely okay. But strength training, it's absolutely not okay to do that fasted, and I'm going to explain why later. And the third myth is about eating and consuming food after 6 o'clock. There is nothing wrong with eating in the evening or at night, because ultimately it's about calories in versus calories out, and it doesn't matter what time of the day you eat. If you're eating too much in the evening, that's a different story. But if you're eating in a calorie deficit, it doesn't matter what time of day you're eating. And you know what? When I'm leading up to a bikini competition, I'm eating at night just before I go to bed to make sure I have a good night's sleep so I'm not hungry, because I am in a calorie deficit at that time. And does it make me gain weight? No, I'm still losing body fat eating at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. The most important thing is, as I said, to get yourself in a calorie deficit. So that's burning more than you're consuming in energy, and get your balance of protein, carbs and fats right. That's so important when you're over 40. So that's 35% protein, 35% carbs and 30% fat, around about that, and keep in a calorie deficit. And I will link a video at the end of this video that describes in much more detail how you should be eating. It's actually what you're eating, not when you're eating, that's important. But there is one exception to that, and that's meal timings around strength training, which is what I talked about in that video at the start, and I'm getting so much abuse about. But it is actually true, and a dietitian will tell you this. Is if you're in a calorie deficit and you've also got that other disadvantage of actually being over 40, where it's really hard to put on muscle, your meal timings around strength training are really important. And the reason I place so much emphasis on strength training and lifting weights is because building muscle is actually going to help us burn more fat, and we've lost muscle through the aging process, so we do need to put it back on. But in order to put it back on, we're not just talking about the workouts, because that in itself, it's just not going to be enough. You need to have the correct nutrition if you're going to get any benefit from strength training. And how do I know this? Because I did strength training without the correct nutrition, and when I got it right, I noticed a big improvement in quite a short space of time. So, as well as the right balance of protein, carbs and fats, what we do need to pay attention to is eating before and after strength training. This is because it's really important, firstly, to fuel your body correctly for strength training. So what you need to do is eat something that's rich in carbohydrate before strength training. So I like to have something like half a bagel or a bagel before strength training, because that's going to give us the energy for performance to get those muscles working. And then what we need to be doing is actually eating a protein rich and carbohydrate rich meal after strength training, because that's going to restore our muscle, help repair our muscle, and also restore our glycogen stores. And I really believe this. Do you know why? Because I've had experience of this myself. When I was actually intermittent fasting, I didn't eat for 5 hours after training, and I certainly didn't eat before training, because I trained really early in the morning and didn't eat till lunchtime. And when I switched to the kind of protocol that I'm talking about, eating a carbohydrate rich meal or snack before training, and then a protein and carbohydrate rich meal after strength training, within a matter of weeks, I noticed a difference, a drop in body fat and an increase in muscle. So this stuff really works. And when we're thinking about women over 40 in particular, it's actually quite hard for us to build muscle. If we're going to do it naturally, like I do, we really need to pay attention to the way that we fuel our body. Fueling our body correctly can actually make the difference between whether we're successful and whether we're not successful when it comes to fat loss. And don't forget, if you want all of this in one place, I do have a high protein meal plan, which actually includes snacks for before and after training, and it's got the right balance of protein, carbs and fats, and there are different calorie levels for different people of different weights, with varying activity levels and different goals. So do check them out, and check out my other online programs. I will link those in the description. How do you eat? Do you eat timing your meals like I've recommended, or maybe you do something completely different? Or are you going to try this as a result of seeing this video? Do let me know in the comments section, and let me know how you get on.